Alright, so I guess this is technically our first foray into the Twilight Realm. And this is also the introduction of my favorite character in the game, Midna. The little sarcastic bitch that she is. I guess first we gotta dick around and realize that we're not going anywhere. Alright, there we go. First time I seen Midna, I was like, that's different. You know, not knowing anything about what was to come later on in the game, she's visually... she stands out quite a bit. Between the imp design, the piece of the fused shadow that she's wearing on her head, the orange hair, just the color scheme in general. I guess technically she's nude too. But I always kind of... I don't know, I always kind of figured the black part was like some kind of covering her clothing. I don't know. I guess maybe it makes more sense that the Twilight skin consists of the black and white. I don't know, hard to say. But it's not like, I mean, it's... see, there's like this weird collar thing that's the same shade of black as the black on her, so... I don't know, who knows with Nintendo and their designs sometimes. But it's still a cool design. It's different. It's not the typical fairy that we had with Navi and... I can't remember the fairy's name from Majora's Mask off the top of my head. And then we didn't really have anything in Wind Waker outside of the King of the Red Lions. Alright. Good. It's on the left side. Take our way out of here. The nice thing is the wolf form that Link takes controls basically exactly the same as the regular form, so there's not like a learning curve or anything to get the hang of it. I mean, she's kind of condescending and mean to him at the beginning of the game, but playing this remake, they'll probably stand out a little bit more. But even the GameCube game, you can see like there's little animations and touches to her that are kind of add something to the character, like when she like pats on his back and stuff to make him go faster and stuff like that. I don't know, you'll see what I'm talking about. But they, I don't know, it's the little touches that I tend to notice in games that make all the difference to me. The fact that somebody took the time to throw those in, I mean, she could have just like statically sat on his back and like reacted to like a jump or something like that, but she kind of like, she'll look around and things like that. Probably not going to listen to all these spirits. Neat concept too, that not everybody that is in the Twilight ends up being turned into a monster or beast or anything like that. They turn into spirits, and there's a lot more going on with this game than I think people give it credit for. But you know, a lot of people, I mean, it came out after Wind Waker, which was a game that, despite the initial backlash towards the art style, a lot of people listed as one of their favorite titles in the series. And then Skyward Sword, which was fairly divisive. But the thing with Twilight Princess, I think, is that it's a solid Zelda experience, but it doesn't do anything new and remarkable, like, you know, with Skyward Sword. You know, that was a big push towards the motion controls. Wind Waker was the sailing and everything. Like, essentially, Twilight Princess is just the same basic formula that was started with Ocarina of Time, and they just kind of tighten things up, I guess you could say. Like, the combat feels a little tighter. Ocarina of Time, as much as I like that game, it sort of had some boring combat to it. It was more so like a waiting game for the enemies to just drop their guard, and then you struck. So, I mean, it kind of... encounters got dragged out a little bit. The horseback combat in Twilight Princess, while not perfect, is better than the horseback combat in Ocarina of Time. In fact, in Ocarina of Time, I might be mistaken, but off the top of my head, I don't even remember if I don't think you could use your sword in Ocarina of Time, but like I said, I could be mistaken on that. Whereas this, you can use your sword or your bow and arrow, boomerang, and things like that. So, I mean, it didn't really... It's what it does well, but nothing really stands out about it. And then, like, the color palette, I can kind of... The different lands of Hyrule are fairly vibrant with the greens and blues and everything, but the Twilight Realm, which you spend a good bit of time in, is very drab. You could almost say, like, it almost feels kind of, I don't know if I want to say depressing, but the atmosphere, because of the color palette of how they did the Twilight Realm, is very oppressive in nature. It makes, like, it feels just weighty and kind of bland at the same time. Like, it kind of makes you... It's boring to look at, I guess, is the general gist of what I'm trying to say, and long story short. But I mean, at the same time, though, it kind of does convey the feeling one would get being thrust into this setting and not being used to it. It does feel kind of like melancholy and just overtly heavy. I don't think there's anything spectacular in these areas, but I just want to make sure. Plus, I won't be able to buy it now, but I want to make sure I have start stockpiling some rupees so that when I can get the Hylian shield. The soldiers are not depicted very favorably in this particular game. A lot of them are depicted as cowards, running away at the first sign of danger, which you would think most royal soldiers would not. They wouldn't quite be that pussified. I mean, I know, like, what they go up against isn't what they were trained for or what they're used to, but I mean, let's be real, you'd think they'd at least try to put up a fight. Nothing down here. That was a lot easier than I remember. Now, the last time I played this, I played it on an emulator, as I mentioned. I didn't finish it. I did play it on the Wii. I think I made it to the first duel with the King Bulbin on the bridge. But the Wii controls just don't lend themselves well to this game. In my opinion, at least. Some people like them. I'm not a fan of them. And we're gonna get around here. I didn't like that the camera swung, but I guess it's not a problem since it seems like we're pretty sticky when it comes to walking on that rope. Let's see. Up here. There we go. I like how she kind of keeps tormenting Link about where they're at. Alright, our first glimpse at Hyrule Castle, even though it's covered in Twilight. Never understood the pixely things that are like floating around. Kind of feel like, I don't know, to me it doesn't add anything, but I guess it's kind of makes sense since when you kill like the shadow beasts, that's what they explode into, but at the same time, though, it really does kind of drive home that this is like a strange and different realm that's overlapping on Hyrule.
What should you be?
Got some thunder. Alright. The remastering that they've done, I mean, it really makes the game look better, but I mean, it's not like... I mean, it's not going to look, obviously, like a current-gen game, or even a last-gen game. But, I mean, it looks good. Just got to accept the fact that some of the visuals are going to look a little dated. That could have been bad. I mean, it's going to be dated a little bit more than, say, Wind Waker. But, as I said before, that's kind of the nature of the Wind Waker having the cel-shaded art style. It's not going to age as harshly as a game that has this style of art to it. It's a lot shorter than I remember. I thought this was longer. Weird ass. Some of the music when you're in the Twilight Realm is kind of weird. Alright. thought there was one more. I keep wanting to hit A to jump up onto the ledge, and then you don't have to, so then I just kind of headbutt it like an idiot. Alright. Go in here, and now we got a lot of exposition. In this game, even though she plays a key role, Zelda is not really in this game that much. I mean, I guess technically she's not really in previous games in the series all that much either, but... If you look at the Hyrule Historia, they had concept sketches for Sheik. So they kind of, at one point, planned on having her do that, but that never came about. I don't know if it would have made sense with the story, though, given what eventually happens after you collect the Fused Shadow. I don't know why she's shrouded up like that. I mean, everybody in the castle would know who she is. The Hyrule Castle theme is one of my favorite musical themes from this series. Here's our setup for Zant, who initially seems like a very big departure from the kind of villains we're used to. Awesome fucking design with the mask and everything there. Didn't seem like it was really that big of a siege. Personally, I would like to see a brunette Zelda more often. You wonder, that's the one thing I've always kind of been curious about, is if like her personality is like that when she's in her normal form, or if it's just like a side effect of being changed into an imp and she's just kind of like a little more wise-assy than she normally would be. I mean, she's still kind of wise-assy when she's in her normal form, but I mean, really, you only get a few lines of dialogue out of her, so it's hard to say. Alright. So now we're going to be starting to get into like the meat and potatoes of the game, I guess you could say. We'll have to get the sword and shield from Orden and collect our first set of Tears of Light. Thankfully, I mean, the Tears of Light weren't too bad in the original game, but they did shorten it up a little bit for this, so that should go a lot faster. Alright, so let's get a sword and shield and then we'll get on our way.